I want you to picture something. You're in a meeting or you're scrolling into the company announcements and you see that a colleague gets a stretch assignment or a promotion and you think, oh, that's so great for them. And then you think, I wonder why I don't ever get assigned those things. What am I doing wrong? I work hard. I show up every day. How come no one ever picks me? And then the real question hits you. What do I want? What's important to me? That's negotiating your career. Do you know what you want? Welcome to How to Get What You Want. This podcast is for driven women ready to claim their goals and navigate their careers with clarity and confidence. Join me as we explore real stories, tools, and strategies to help you steer your career exactly where you want to go. Let's get started on helping you get what you want. Hi, and welcome, friend. I am so happy that you made the choice to be here today because this is about getting what you want. And part of getting what you want is knowing where you're going. I work with a lot of people who I'm really surprised when I ask them what's next for them. A lot of times they just identify the title that comes next after where they are. And listen, that's great. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there's such a great opportunity in thinking beyond that, or thinking what's next for you in terms of exposure, experience, those opportunities that happen that fall outside of your role and responsibility. And the truth is, when we're really, really good at what we do, we may get recognized for what we're really good at, but that's all that people know of us. And I often say to people, your boss is responsible to make you successful in what you're doing today. And they're going to do anything they can to make you succeed, to make sure that they make all barriers go away for you, because that's important to them. That has a reflection on them. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's just the way it is. But they don't often look beyond that. They may ask you in an annual review, or you may talk about it, but they don't live in your head. They're not always thinking, what next opportunity can I give this person? It's up to you to identify, what is that for you? And it could look like something small. It could look bigger. That's up to you to figure out, what is that? Because when you know that and you're clear about it, you're more likely to seed and anchor that in the right moments, to advocate for yourself, to say, hey, listen, I want this opportunity. I work with clients every day that I work with on this. And sometimes it's just about talking through why they are invisible, why they are appreciated and their impact is known, but they're not able to influence when they need it. As I was looking at this topic, because it's so important to me, I looked at the research, and there's this idea of the high performer paradox, where you do get stuck in the role that you play. You can be really good at it. You're getting, all the reps. It's so easy for you. It becomes second nature, and that's what you're known for. And it is important to know what you're known for, but it's also important to show people that you're ready for what's next, that you're saying you want to give that. And part of that is being able to delegate some of those things that you love. And that is what being a great leader as you go up in the organization means, is get really, really good at what you're doing, but then be able to delegate it to others, even if it satisfies that need to get things done or you love doing it. Giving that and shifting that is really important, because then you get open for other opportunities, especially when we're so busy. So what is that for you? That research proves that, yes, you can be great at what you do, but you need to be thinking about what's next, because it's not just about what you know, it's who you know. If you have the right advocate that's advocating for you and you're clear about where you want to go. Here's a kicker. There was a study of 1,600 professionals, and they found that nearly half of the companies of the boss that they work for, 46%, don't even know what their people's career aspirations are. And 60% of companies never help people get beyond the department that they're in. And you know what is added to that? Research shows that when a man and a woman do exactly the same in a task, 61% of the women will say that they didn't do as well. They'll report back that their outcome wasn't as good as somebody else. We dilute our own value. We are the ones that are responsible for our own development, and we think that people will just notice. Don't leave it up to them. That's just work for them. The research proves it. What do you need to do to get clear about it? So let me tell you about two clients of mine. One was a woman that she kept getting passed over. She was talking to me about, she'd ask her leader and some of their peers for some feedback because she worked with them quite often. And she would get like, good, you're great, you're doing a good job. Just general feedback, which is frankly not helpful, not constructive. You can't build on it. You can't do anything about it. So she stepped out. She went to a more senior leader outside of her department, but had some optics into what she was doing, knew people that were working with her in his organization, and she talked to him. And he gave her a great view of the perception of her. He was very honest with her, and it allowed her to find some things about her that she needed to adjust. But he also helped her illuminate some areas where she could develop, because his view of the organization was wider. He could see it. And he even gave her some advice on how to frame it back to her leader to say, I need better feedback. I want to develop, and this is where I want to develop. But in order for me to do that, it's going to help you, because she knew there were some insecurities there. She framed it back to them, to that person, that this is what she would need from them to continue forward. And she started to seed on a regular basis where she wanted to develop. And they started to see that this person was advocating for her naturally. And that helped her not just be influential, but it helped them help her. And it really helped her get to the next place that was comfortable for her. It helped her development. It gave her more exposure. It increased her influence and her experience. Just because she had the courage to have that conversation with that senior leader, get somebody outside of just because you're told you get feedback from this person's responsible for the role. Don't let that influence your boundaries of who you ask for. Another client of mine, a man who is an introvert, we were talking about the fact that every year they have a leadership summit, and he noticed that some of his colleagues are always asked to do different things, lead a breakout, be a part of a panel. And he's like, why doesn't that ever happen to me? So he started to just ask the question, how did those other people get the role? He started talking to some of the people that put together the summit, and he started to realize there wasn't a process. People just pick the people that are easy for them to select, that show that they want it because they know they're going to do a good job. You have to remember that the people that are responsible want to make sure that the outcome is good. So you want to gain that confidence in them by showing, I want to do it, and I am going to go and do a great job for you. So guess what? He was a part of the main stage in the summit the next year. He went to the right people. He seated himself as an anchor, and he was able to really shift the perspective of him. And guess what that did for him? Now he's seen broader. The optics for him were widened. That was experience that he wanted in front of, you could say it was public speaking, but he did not think about what that would do for him in terms of who would see him there, how he would be seen differently, what the impression he was giving to other people who might have been thinking the same thing he did the year before. Oh gosh, I wish I would be selected for that. Why is he selected and not me? Right? You are building the path for others. Why not bring them along? And it takes your courage to do that. It's so important. In order to get what you want, you need to think about what you want and define that. And that's all about a negotiator mindset. Because when you do, you ask those questions. You think about the scenario. You take a step back and go, why not me? how can I shift this? What situational awareness do I need to have? How do I need to build my influence? What do I need to do differently so that people know? That's what great negotiators do. They don't just sit back and think about what they need to take. Because of what they do at the table means they have to build momentum. They have to get people's buy-in. They always think like that. You need to shift that in order to get what you want. The first tip is to brainstorm about what you want. And I mean, think big. Use pictures. You've heard about vision boards. Think about what is next for you. Not just next, but if you want to look broader, what would you love to do? Think big. Think broad. Think about things that may feel impossible to you. When you do that, that unlocks your mindset to think bigger. Even brainstorm with somebody that you really care about, that you have high trust with, somebody ahead of you in your career. Think about what you want to do. Really define that. Get visceral about what that looks like for you, whether it is public speaking, observing a strategy meeting, leading a big project, developing a new process. We all are uniquely our own selves and our own strengths. So define what that is for you. That's tip number one. Tip number two, get the courage and ask. Go ask around your organization. Say you were challenged by your executive coach. You can say that and say, what do I think I'm really good at? If you had to look at what I do and think about what might be next for me, what advice and ideas would you give me? Even people that don't know you well, but know of you, great perspective. You may be amazed that people know more about you than you realize. It's also a great way to build your brand. It's a great way to build your influence because you're showing about the investment in you and you're getting them to tell you what makes you great. That's great PR for you. And sometimes we're so locked into our perspective. If you've ever heard the term, you can't read the label from inside the bottle, sometimes we're inside the bottle. What perspective can you gain from others around you that you trust? Let them imagine for you. What could you say that if I had to take a role in a different industry, what kind of role do you think I would be good at? Doesn't mean you have to take it. Doesn't mean you have to take that advice. Just say, I'm trying to really get myself to think big. The third one is a straight negotiator mindset strategy. How are you going to frame that? Once you get really clear, how do you frame that to people? It doesn't have to sound boastful. It doesn't have to sound like you're outside of your comfort. But when it feels that way, it feels a little bit edgy for you. The first time you say it might sound uncomfortable. So the more you say it, the more comfortable you get with it. It makes me think of when I first published my book, somebody said, you're a published author. And I thought, I have to get used to that. And it took me a few times. I mean, the fact was, I'm a published author or I'm a professional speaker, both true. It just took me a while to just confidently say that. Both are true, but I needed to really own that label because to me, those were people that felt untouchable to me because those goals seemed impossible in some regards, but I got them. So what is that for you? Where do you want to go? How do you see that idea? Maybe for like my client, for him to go up to a senior leader and say, hey, listen, I would love to be a part of the Leadership Summit next year. That would really stretch me and give me some exposure and experience that I'd love to have. That's how I would say it. Maybe you don't use love as much as I do, but framing it like that, going up to people and saying, I really want to hone my public speaking. Do you know of a situation that's coming up that I could be a part of, that I could be a part of the presentation group? What is that for you? Maybe it doesn't even exist yet, but people could go, oh, you know what? You could help me. You could present with me. You could do some slides around your expertise. You never know. If you don't seed it to people, you don't say it, you don't frame it in, they're never going to know. And I heard a C-level person talk to an audience at a leadership conference, and she said, there are opportunities that don't fit nicely into a certain role. And you know what? It's easier for me if I can just pick the people that raise their hand who said, I'm ready, because I have confidence in them. And frankly, I'm busy. I say that all the time, but think about that. Think about it from that lens. How can you make it easy for somebody else to pick you by framing it powerfully? So those are your tips. What are you going to do? And here's my challenge for you. What are you going to do in the next 72 hours? Get a little bit clear. Think about one thing you want to seed into somebody and say it out loud. Say it to somebody that you're really comfortable with, and say, I'm just trying this on for size. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to be a professional speaker. Whatever it is, those come to mind for me. Yours may be, I'm going to lead one of the biggest projects in the organization that has an impact on our future strategy. Such a great way, even if you just say it to yourself in the next 72 hours in front of the mirror with confidence. That's your challenge for today. Don't just sit back and let other people decide what you want. What you want is negotiating for yourself the things that you want next. And it might not be a promotion. It might not be more money. Maybe it is those things, or those things are. But you know what this does? Is this gives you some opportunity to ask for things that may not feel as uncomfortable to you if those things are uncomfortable for you to ask for. And guess what? When you hone those skills, that gives you one more thing to put on this is my ROI for my role for the business, what I'm giving back. Because when you think about the things that you want to do in the exposure and you align that to the business goals, boom, you just gave your person that you're asking for something more leverage so that you can get what you want ultimately. This is such an important topic. If you know somebody that's diluting their value or they're not clear about what they want, send them this podcast. It's such a win-win. It helps them know that you care about them, that you care about the investment in them, and you want to make sure they're successful. And it helps them get what they want. I'm so glad you made the choice to be here today. Such an important topic. I'd love to hear from you. I'm going to start gathering the questions and the stories that people share with me. So stay tuned for that segment that I'm going to start talking about in this podcast. If you want to reach out, there's a link to negotiationlove.com. I'd love for you to join me. And if any of this landed for you and you think, gosh, this would be really great for my organization, reach out to me. I'd love to talk about how I can provide value to a group, your team, or somebody in your organization, and brainstorm about that. My role is all about having impact for others. And so I hope this was impactful for you. Until next time, I'm Susie. Let's go get what you want, because negotiation is more than a skill. It's a mindset.